I was thinking about how we've been listening to Amos all week, and at the beginning of the week we heard things like, for 3 crimes and for 4 of such and such a place I will destroy them, and this will happen, and all this stuff, this king will be knocked down, and all this judgment and punishment. But God's punishment is never for the sake of just punishing us. It's discipline. He wants, out of love for us, to draw us back to himself. And so in the first reading today, we hear about, okay, now you will be restored. I will restore you. On that day I will raise up the fallen hut of David, rebuild it as in days of old. And then I will bring about restoration to my people Israel. They shall rebuild and inhabit their ruined cities, plant vineyards and drink vines. So after the exile, after the captivity in Babylon, they will come back, they will rebuild, they will be a people again, as God calls in love, drawing them to his heart. And in the things of our lives, we look in, I hear a lot of times, like I had a priest, an associate growing up, who, when we would poke fun at him, he would say something like, "God'll get you." And I mean, it was his standard response. But we always laughed at that. But we look and we say, sometimes we have that true image in our mind, though, that God is out to get us. God is there to punish us. But that's not the way he is. He's a father who wants to discipline his children, to strengthen us, that in the midst of our chaos, he wants to help us to grow. He is a lover who draws us into his heart. We hear in the gospel today, people are asking, why the Pharisees and others fast, but Jesus' disciples do not. He said, can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away. And they don't ask the obvious question. So are you some sort of a bridegroom? And he is. He's the bridegroom. You go to a wedding, right? And when the bride walks down the aisle, everyone turns and faces her. But if you turn and face the bridegroom at that moment, when he sees his bride coming down the aisle, he changes. The groom's face changes when he sees the bride. And Jesus, who is our bridegroom, and we his bride, when he sees us coming, he changes. When we come into Mass, his face lights up, as it were. When we come to prayer, to adoration, the bridegroom changes. A lot of times, again, we think about God, he's out there to punish us, or, he puts up with us and our foibles and all this stuff, but no, he is so in love with us. He is so in love with us. And I just love that image that when we come in to spend time with him in prayer, in adoration, in Mass, when we come in, his face changes. Oh, you're here, my loved one. I so delight in you. May we recognize God's love moving in our midst, sometimes disciplining us so that we can grow, and sometimes in just that delight to draw us to his heart, all meant so that we can be one with him, so that we can be with him forever. And may we, in that recognition of his love, surrender all of our sins, all of our vices, all of our addictions, all of our bad habits into his hand and say, Lord, here, in your great love, draw me to your heart.